Welcome back to Goody Stories, where I retell hopefully interesting stories from my past. In this story, I'd like to talk about a near-death experience I had, and the ridiculously stupid aftermath. When I was very young, perhaps 10 to 12 years old, I attended a summer camp that I won't be naming since the name isn't really important to the story. It focused on a large variety of outdoor activities, such as horseback riding, rock wall climbing, ziplining, forest exploration, and water sports like canoeing and kayaking. This wasn't a small or obscure summer camp, but rather a very well-funded one with a huge premises, consisting of multiple soccer and football fields, a 10-mile forest, a literal sports stadium, an indoor gymnasium, the campgrounds containing separate areas for all the activities I mentioned, and probably a lot more that I'm forgetting. It even had an actual radio station. Not just a website you could listen to like a podcast, but an actual AM radio station with a frequency. That's how well funded and important the summer camp was. Fast forward to around halfway through my attendance, and it was time for me and my assigned group to go to the lake for kayaking and canoeing. The instructor there was very professional, and safety was the utmost priority. Whenever we had this activity, we had two choices. Either go out in a one-person kayak, or go as a group in a canoe. If you went in a kayak, you needed to wear a life vest, since those things are super easy to flip over. If you went out into a canoe, you didn't have to wear a life vest if you didn't want to, since these were huge boats made of metal, so they were nearly impossible to flip over. That specific day, me and another participant managed to secure a canoe, and we chose to not use our life vests since they limited movement a lot and we wanted to experience freedom on the water. This time, we wanted to go out as far as possible away from everyone else and just enjoy the view. We rowed our boat gently out to sea, and when we were far enough out, we stopped. A few relaxing minutes went by, and that's when we noticed our feet were wet, but we hadn't splashed enough water for that to happen. We looked down, and we saw the culprit. Our boat had sprung a leak, and not a small one. The canoe was filling with water and fast. We tried yelling for help, but we were too far away from everyone else for the instructor to hear us, and no one paid us any mind since they thought we were just dancing or showing off. We were also quite far away from land, and we were afraid to paddle back for risk of the leak getting bigger or filling up the boat faster. Most importantly, I couldn't swim. You know how people say that you can float on the water just by laying on your back? Yeah, that doesn't work for me and never has. I kid you not, multiple swim instructors have refused to teach me because, quote, I didn't know it was possible to not be able to float in the water. I can't teach this person swimming if basic swimming mechanics don't work for him. Needless to say, I was completely fucked. Thankfully, after screaming for so long, the instructor noticed us and we were able to relay our situation. And he rescued us by literally diving into the water and pulling the canoe onto land with his hands, which made swimming with a sledgehammer look unimpressive. The internet term gigachad wouldn't exist for many years. If it had existed back then, this guy would have easily been the local gigachad. So that's it, right? I nearly drowned and I lived to tell the tale. But there's another aspect to the story that I'm still upset about to this day. Remember the radio station I mentioned? Every month, all the groups of participants got together and voted on a story to broadcast. Feeling pretty accomplished with having escaped certain death, I wanted to tell my story, so I got a lot of people together who also wanted my story to be told, and we collectively voted for it. Unfortunately, it lost to another participant's story. What was the story that won, you might be asking? Jake is cool because he tastes like chicken legs. Yes, Jake is cool because he tastes like chicken legs. That was the entire story. That short blurb was infinitely more impressive and worth broadcasting over live radio than my actually real survival story, according to a majority of people at the camp. On that day, along with the normal radio announcements, the camp broadcasted the sentence, Jake is cool because he tastes like chicken legs, to millions of people, and my story went unheard. Every staff person there went to the ends of the earth to defend this decision. One of them actually telling me, quote, "Yeah, it's a cool story, but come on, chicken legs." And they were being completely unironic when they said that. Starting very early on in my life, I had developed serious trust issues. Many adults throughout my life thought it was because of my Asperger's, and while that certainly didn't help my case, incidents like this were the main contributing factor. Adults not taking me seriously when they should have is something that happened to me way too often, and they weren't even being malicious. They genuinely didn't know the effect it had on my mental health. Whether they were summer camp staff, teachers, or even my parents, adults would regularly underestimate my intelligence or skills and not take me seriously. Even during the STAR program I talked about in the previous story, there was an incident where we were told we were going to compete and earn medals, quote, actually real medals, but when we got them, they were cheap dollar store plastic medals. When I complained, they said, "Well, we did say they were real, just not metal with a T," and that rubbed me the wrong way, because I was mentally mature enough to understand that real metals meant actually real metals, made of metal, but they assumed that I had the same low intelligence as the children around me, and treated me as such. This was the case all the way back in preschool even. Yes, preschool, because that's how good my memory is. On the first day of preschool, we went outside and threw sports balls around, and we were so good that we managed to get them stuck on the roof of the building. It was a low roof, to be fair, and the adults might have given the balls a momentum boost, but they did get stuck up there regularly. Whenever they did, the adults would climb up on the roof and throw them back down. I thought that was really cool, so I asked if I could go on the roof too. They told me, quote, "You can go on the roof on the last day of school. I promise." I responded, asking for them to confirm their promise again, and they very carefully promised the same thing again. Fast forward to the last day of school, and I asked if I could go on the roof like they promised, and they looked me straight in the face and said, quote, "No, you can't, I was lying." This jump-started my trust issues, and combined with every similar incident afterwards, I still have trust issues at age 27. Yes, I still can't fully trust some people who are very close to me in real life because my brain has been trained to not fully trust people. Fucking chicken legs, man.